Okay, Mid-Penn Bank Podcast, we got something really special today. As you all know from the last year, we do this as an audio podcast only. But today we're doing video audio podcast. And I have with me Ali Barubi, the sports director for WHTM TV 27 News here in Harrisburg. And Ali, we're going to have a fun day today. We're going to talk to a bunch of celebrities, mostly athletes. Some from football, some from the NHL, some from the NBA. Some from Major League Baseball. So how as a sports director, you got to be ready to go.
This is heaven, by the way. You've assembled the who's who of celebrities in sports. You brought them all here to beautiful Hershey, Pennsylvania, of course, for a great cause in the fight against breast cancer, but really just an awesome group of individuals and truly a testament to the work that you all are doing. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to chat with them. We're going to tell some crazy stories. I mean, this is a dream come true.
It's going to be tough to keep them channeled in on, telling stories that you can actually put on the air on a podcast. But, this has been a fun time trying to put this golf tournament together. And as Ali said, it's a golf tournament that raises money for breast cancer charities. We have two great ones, the Pennsylvania Breast Cancer Coalition that serves women who already have breast cancer, and they also do some funding of research. And the Bosser Center down at the University of Penn Medicine in Philadelphia, Drs. Susan Domchek and Dr. Payal Shah, who are doing cancer research. They're trying to figure out a way to solve this BRCA gene mutation. And what they need is money. And so we've put this golf tournament together, and I call on a bunch of my celebrity friends to come and help us attract some really generous sponsors. And that's the formula. So, we thought Scott Bosjancic, who's the producer of our podcast, we thought that, let's put together a video podcast. Let's bring in the best to help me with this because I'm not a professional. And we're going to have a day of great interviews that we hope to share with you over the next couple months. So here we go. Mid-Penn Bank Celebrity Golf Classic 2024 and the Mid-Penn Bank Podcast. All right, here we go. We're back. All right, so we have some really special guests.
The celebrities of all celebrities.
Yeah, the celebrities of all celebrities.
The
These are
family?
two of my three daughters. This is Juliana, and this is Olivia. So they love this golf tournament. They come every year. They love the party. We
love the party a little too much.
They don't like too.
It's been a slow morning,
Right.
It's a rough start.
All right, so you do have to keep the microphones up when you're talking, just so that we can hear you. But so they come every year. They enjoy the heck out of it, and so they're out here today, just spreading a little cheer and love, and the sunglasses are on for a reason. So
I was gonna say I'm jealous that mine are in my bag. I'll pull them out here in a second. But I'm curious for you guys. Obviously, you've watched your dad throughout your entire lives. To see him out here with all these celebrities and the way that they've all become family, what is this like for the Retrievies to know you're making a huge impact, but all these people come here to see you all?
Yeah, I think each year it just gets better and better. And I think just seeing how it started obviously was amazing to begin with, but just seeing the way that it's grown and each year it changes in a good way, and just seeing the different celebrities each year and just building those connections, getting to see them again. Getting a hug from D'Angelo Hall. Feels like he's my uncle.
Yeah,
it's
and
crazy.
seeing Robert Royal every year.
Oh,
he has just been the best, and getting to know them all has been a privilege. So
I think it's easy. He won't let us brag about him too much, but I think we should brag about your dad a little bit. But for you guys, how proud are you of the mission he's taking on in this fight? Obviously, men and women can get breast cancer, but majority is women. Here he is, the dad of daughters. What does it mean to you that he's taken this cause on?
It's honestly really inspiring, and it's inspired me in a lot of areas of my life too to do similar pursuits. And obviously, as a woman, breast cancer being such a prominent issue, it's a huge thing that he's doing and the whole company's doing.
Mm-hmm. I second that. Yeah, you said it great.
It's funny, no one in the Retrieve family likes bragging about them, so I'll do it. I mean, the way that you guys have
he's a star.
A star, and you guys have brought this community together and really 9 years in, and it's only growing every year, and that's a testament to your family and the sacrifice that you guys have made. And of course, this week is fun, but it takes a year-long effort. So
Definitely.
Congratulations to everyone.
And the guys do love these guys.
How
so
can you not?
D'Angelo Hall, Andre Roberts. I remember a couple years ago they both brought male friends to the to the pairings party, And I look over and there's Andre Roberts
Yep.
and D'Angelo Hall, and they're grilling the guys.
Yeah, they were.
And I went over and I said, what was that all about? And D'Angelo Hall said, I told those guys that you're my brother, these are my nieces, and they better take care of them.
The ultimate test, passing the approval from D'Angelo Hall.
It
The ultimate test.
I was just say, sorry, Dad, you're not really that scary.
No,
but
no,
D'Angelo
no.
Hall
No,
is like-
D'Angelo Hall and Andre Roberts standing there hovering over those guys. Yeah, that was a little scary for him.
Oh, for sure. And
So-
Seth Joyner too.
Well, sad.
He I'll
He's
never
not small.
forget.
G.
Oh yeah. He didn't even look at him when I introduced one of my male friends. He literally goes, "What's up?"
Listen, they
Give
know.
them the time of day.
They
They know
know.
the time of day.
These guys will look right out and be like, nope, yep, nope.
Yeah.
I mean, their sense of people is pretty good, so trust it, maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
So it was great. Olivia was at the Pitt Virginia Tech game a few years ago,
Mm.
and she saw a bunch of students from Virginia Tech, and they were wearing Michael Vick shirts because
Of course.
Michael Vick went there. So she called me up and she said, "Dad, do you think you can get Michael Vick to FaceTime me
Oh,
so that
my
because
gosh.
these kids are here, and I just
They
wanted
didn't
to."
believe me. I was like, "Oh, I know him." And they were like, "No, you don't."
You're like, actually, I really do.
So I called Mike, and I'm thinking he's not going to answer, but he picked up, and I said, "Hey,
On the
Mike,
first
listen,
ring.
I'm going to send you my daughter's phone number. Call her and FaceTime her because she's there at the game with a bunch of Virginia." So he did, and
He
they're
did
like,
it.
"Oh yeah, he
Of
did."
course he
He
did.
did, he
Of
did.
course he did.
There was, some guy wearing a Vic jersey.
Yeah.
He went up to him, brought the camera in front of him. He was like, what? He thought it was, AI.
Oh
He was like, this isn't actually him. It was so funny.
I think it's incredible too the way that people just love the family now. You know.
Mhm.
Oh,
like,
and
these-
even Jaws too. I mean, we've
Oh.
known Jaws our whole life, but I remember my first job. I was an analyst at JP Morgan, and I was like 3 months into the job, and they gave me the task of planning Employee Appreciation Week, and they're like, "See what you can do," not expecting anything. And I called on my dad. I'm like, "Is there any way, it's in Philly." Everyone's Eagles fans. I'm like, is there any way you could get Jaws involved? And he reached out, and Jaws was like, oh, not only would I love to do a talk, but I'm gonna recruit Quick to come speak with me as well. And they did a whole hour-long talk and answered questions from all my coworkers, and I literally was still I'm in touch with that whole team, and they love me. And
I was gonna say, girl, you peaked 3 months.
oh, I
into the job.
did.
You
They were like,
shoot.
we love her.
What?
We
Set
can
the
never
bar
let
so
her go.
high.
I know.
I remember because they were remote at the time. This
Oh,
is
God.
2020.
Yeah, we were completely remote, so it
And
was all done.
She said that they're on this big group call, and they're saying, "Does anyone know anyone that could come in and maybe jazz it up?" And she said, I pressed the unmute button, and I said,
I was like, listen, I think I
think
I
I
have a few
could.
people.
I think I can get
in mind.
Ron Jaworski, and they're like, "What do you mean you get Ron Jaworski?"
Well, I didn't want to overpromise, so I was like, I do know Ron Jaworski, and they're like, Jaws? Oh my gosh, everyone's freaking out. It was a whole event. I still am pretty famous, I would say, around Chase Lending because of that.
Listen,
So, and it was unbelievable because I called Jaws, and I'm like, "Hey, Ron, I hate asking this," and he's like, "Oh man, I'm in, man." That's
It was
Juliana.
a great setup. I played the clip of the pass from Jaws.
the
To set it
99
up.
yard.
99
Yeah.
yard pass to set it up, and then they were both on screen, so it's really
Amazing.
special. But it really goes to show the family aspect of the
I
whole
think the
tournament.
thing that's fun about this tournament too is sometimes you forget, right? These are incredible athletes. They've been at the highest level of all of their sports, but here they're just one of the guys. They're one of the girls. They ask about your life. Their kids. All these things, and so it's funny because I think I'd be like, oh yeah, Jaws was over there, and people are like, you were in a
know
room
him? Yeah.
with BG and Jaws, and and you're like. Yeah, he made my Philly cheesesteak last night. What do you mean? He asked if I wanted one. And I think that's what's so special. And for you guys, I can only imagine you've grown up around these people, and they love the family, and they love you guys. And I think that's the coolest part about this. They're just normal, just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get. I think I see Paulie Gunther over there.
Oh, yeah, they just teed off.
Yeah, let's get Paulie over here,
Yeah,
guys.
get
I love
Paulie.
you.
Love
Thank you. Have fun today.
Thanks.
Hydrate.
We will.
Or should I say rehydrate? Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Mid-Penn Bank knows how to throw a party. That's
Absolutely.
event
All right,
of the
guys.
year.
Love you.
Thanks.
Thanks. All right, here we go with the coach, Paul Gunther.
Ooh.
Pablo.
How we doing today?
Oh man, we're having a fun time, man. How's it
Really
going
good.
out there?
Oh, it's great. Lot of good celebrities that you brought in here.
Mhm.
A good group of guys, all having fun. I think we're about 6 under after 8
Really?
holes. So yeah, we're doing good.
Is it because of Jake?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Jake. Actually, my group's pretty good. We've all kind of pitched in, but Jake's main part of it.
So how special has that been for you? So you played the last 2 years in the shootout with your son. It's an alternate shot format.
Yep.
Like, you got to be able to. We were talking earlier about the esprit de corps on the teams. Like, the team that wins this thing is usually, the two that, kind of bond together.
Yep.
How's it been for you guys?
It's been great. I mean, last year was his first year, and I think anybody who has never played in a shootout before.
He's 19 years old.
Yeah,
I mean, let's not forget.
He does play college golf, so he's
Right.
he's used to those kind of things. But I think when you have people watching, and it's if you miss one shot, you're out of the hole. And he just we got the sixth hole yesterday, and he had a hybrid, and it was a short par 4, and went 50 yards over the green,
Right.
and was in the weeds. So I had to go back and
Well,
reach.
you think you have a hybrid on a par 4, you should be fine,
Yeah,
right?
I'm like, hey, just put us on the green, and
Right.
we can go on to the next
Right.
hole. And boom.
Yeah.
So, but it's fun. It's fun playing with your son, and being a coach, you don't get always a chance to get out and play these type of things, and so it's good. It's a good time well spent.
Yeah, and it works on your schedule. I mean, I know.
Yeah.
Look, you go out of your way. I know that you don't have very many weeks as an NFL coach. You're working 330, 40 days a year, and you don't get a lot of free time, and you take a few days to come up here, and we really appreciate that.
I do it, I do it because it's a good cause. This is a great tournament that you run, and I always said, something about growing up in Pennsylvania. I always like coming up here in Central PA and just seeing the mountains and the trees and the greenery, and the people here are so nice, and it's a good 2-3 days well spent for not only for your charity, but just to come up here and see Hershey and the surroundings it is.
And see some old friends.
Yeah.
Can I brag about this guy for a second? So your tournament obviously brings people in. I spent a couple hours with your wife, who's phenomenal as well, swapping stories of
Patrice
our
is
DC
great.
days and all of that.
Yeah.
But when they walked into your dinner on Tuesday, I said, those guys are really familiar. And it was because they spent about 4.5 hours in the blazing hot sun at Harrisburg High School while Michael Parsons hosted a camp for 400 kids for free. And they stayed there the whole time, watched the camp, met the family, hung out. You're intentional about the way that you go about coaching your athletes. It's going to show. It's already it's evident here in the way that you interact with everyone. And I just think you've been phenomenal in the 4 days that I've known you.
It. Yeah, we just met, and yeah, it was a great. Micah runs a free camp for all those kids. I think 350, 400 kids, and
Wow.
All stationed up, and he had his whole family there, and just being able to. I'm going to coach the guy in the fall, so you want to know, you want to find out more about him, just not as football players, but a little bit more about his family, his aunts, his uncles, brothers and sisters, and those type of things. And I think just for himself, he's on the same schedule as a coach, so. To come back to Harrisburg and put that on as a free camp was a tremendous thing.
But I think it's awesome too, like you said, coming back here and being able to be a part of this community. People here feel that, and I think that's what makes what you're doing so special as a Pennsylvania guy.
No, I appreciate it. I know I don't get a lot of love being a Cowboy.
No, that was
we
the
skipped it.
So you're a Pennsylvania guy. You grew up in the kind of the greater Philly metro,
Yeah,
right?
Bucks County, Counts Rock High School.
Oh yeah, you're right in there.
He's right there.
Yeah.
So what's that like now? You're coaching the the arch rival, the team that everyone loves to hate, especially the Eagles fans. Which you and I talked about this. You said Cowboys, the people around there, they don't really focus on the Eagles much, but the Eagles focus on the Cowboys.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, they're a division rival. I know the Eagles, just growing up, how big of a rivalry was with the Cowboys.
Right.
And the Philly fans hated the Cowboys. But the thing that I found out going to Dallas, obviously all the division rivals, Philly, Giants, and the Commanders are all big games, but they really hate the 49ers.
Yeah.
Dallas fans hate
because of probably the 80s and 90s.
The 80s and 90s, and lineage of the NFC Championship games, the Deion Sanders, the T.O.s, the Charles Haley's.
Oh,
all those,
going back to San Francisco's first win, the pass to Dwight Clark. Yeah, the catch. Yeah,
so there's so many things, but I think that's, but again, they're all big rivalries. Really.
So I visited you in Dallas a few weeks ago, and I could tell you really love that place and that organization and Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I think it's just a really, from top to bottom, the way they run the draft, the way they treat the players, the coaches, everything's first class, top notch. The players, we put a whole new defensive system in, and they were pretty good on defense last year, but they grasped it. They worked hard. They want to win. We just got to get over the hump in the playoffs, and I think it's it's kind of like I told people, like, hey, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl when it was in 17, say you win a Super Bowl in this town, they'll go crazy, and they did.
Right.
And they still will. And I just feel like the same way in Dallas is that they had won 5, but they just haven't won one lately
since 92 or 3.
Yeah. So it's been a long time, and it's about time we go win one.
Yeah. How you feeling about the year? Good.
You just gotta stay healthy. The schedule is what it is. We're playing the same teams as we have that first place schedule. We're out of the only games we're playing the other teams in our division are. We're playing the Lions, the Texans, and I can't remember who were the other. It might be San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, shouldn't forget about that. But we just got to stay healthy. I think we got offensively we're really good. Defensively, hopefully they can pick up the scheme and from first day.
That's Ron Jaworski yelling, "How about them Cowboys?"
So, but hopefully we'll have a good year, and if we're fortunate enough to make it to the playoffs, we can take the next step and get them through that.
So, what's it like coaching Micah Parsons?
Oh. Well, it's my 23rd year in the NFL. This guy's probably the most talented guy I've ever seen, and I've been around a lot of talented players, but just how fast he is, how he's really good on his feet. He used to wrestle.
Yeah.
And he can play basketball. And I think the story you told me the other night is she went to go watch him play in high school and say, hey, what number was Micah Parsons? And they said, don't worry, when you get there and you watch, you'll know exactly what number he is. So
the guy making all the plays, that's Micah Parsons.
Yeah, and I didn't really know how good he was until I accepted the job and I started watching a film of what teams try to do, whether it's with protection or send an extra guy his way to stop him. And it's unbelievable the amount of time. Yeah, he double team, and it's unbelievable the amount of times this guy will beat a double team. It's crazy because he's got a knack of getting skinny through guys. He's obviously very fast off the edge and those type of things. So, and he's a really smart guy, which was really good. He really can pick up the playbook, and it's going to be a big plus for us because we're going to move this guy all around. He's going to play defensive end, linebacker. Right. It's going to be like where's Waldo on our defense,
right?
Which is
and he could do all those things,
yeah,
because of his.
And he wants to do it.
Look, I told Ron Jaworski and Mike Quick before the draft, where Parsons was in the draft. I said, look, I've been watching this guy since he was a really young person, and I said, not just in football. You want to see this? You want to see like a spectacular athlete? Go watch him run hurdles or watch him run the 100.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, I remember watching him do hurdles, and I was like, oh my gosh, at his size, as fast as he was, and as athletic to get over those hurdles, it was really unbelievable.
Yeah,
and he's notorious for his smarts.
Yeah,
he's so you got a lot of talent in that little package.
The more I put in front of him, the more excited he gets. And sometimes, hey, it may not be best for Micah Parsons, but it's best for the team,
right?
And because we're going to put you over here and maybe do something over here, and he goes, I get it, man. Why wouldn't you? And
right.
Eventually, it's going to take away the double teams, and teams are going to have to be a little bit more honest with how they block and protect, and then they open up for him. So
yeah,
I'm excited.
Listen. I swore an allegiance to dislike the Cowboys for my entire life, but I've changed my mind because of you, baby.
I appreciate it.
And I had a really good time down there with you. And look, I'm so thankful that you guys came back, that you bring Patrice, who's a big part of she's as big a part of this as you are now, right?
Yeah, she loves it.
And she's part of the family, and I know that she's probably getting over at the spa today, enjoying after a week of work and having Jake here for the last 2 years, it's really special. We love the Gunthers, and you're a great man, and we really appreciate you coming here.
You do a great job with this whole thing, this charity, the event. The whole thing is top notch.
All right, go back and take care of my guy, Corey.
All
right,
care.
Love you, brother. All right, we're back with Mike Merriweather. Mike, thank you so much, man. This is, I think, your third year?
My third year.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's always a great time, always a great cause, definitely.
So, Central Pennsylvania, this area around here, we're a little closer to Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. We're also close to Baltimore. Mm-hmm. And, of course, there's Pittsburgh.
Right.
So do you feel the love of the Central Pennsylvanians when you come here, for being you were big part of the Steelers for so long.
Right. I definitely do it. There's a lot of Steeler fans that come on out. Of course, the Eagle fans. And I'm playing with a Raven, so I don't know how that's gonna go over. But like I said, it's just a great time, and definitely feel the love there.
So your coaches, when you were with the Steelers, did you bridge two coaches, or did you have the same coach the whole time?
Coach No.
Coach No.
And was blessed to have Coach Dungy as our defensive coordinator, who brought a great flair to our defense and opened it up. And of course, his success continued on, with not only with Tampa Bay, but with the Colts. Winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So we had Scott Fitzke here earlier, and he played for Penn State, and he played for Joe Paterno, of course. So, kind of an iconic coach. And Coach Knoll, when you put up the Mount Rushmore of coaches in the NFL history, I don't know where he is on that, but he's in there, right?
Oh, he's up there.
So what was it like playing for a guy like that?
I tell you a quick little story. I was drafted in the third round. I played probably the most of any rookie at that time. And then Jack Ham happened to retire, and I became a starter. The first 2 years, Coach No never said a word to me. Never said a word to me. I made my first Pro Bowl, and I made my first Pro Bowl, and we were one game from the Super Bowl. We just lost to Miami. Mike Marino killed us, all that stuff, and I'm still in therapy about that. But Chuck No, at the end of that game, he said, "Great job."
Really?
Great job to me. So that meant the world to me.
And a game that you lost.
At a game we lost.
And he said, "Great game." Yeah.
Well, great job.
Yeah, great job. Yeah.
But I guess referring to the whole season.
Yeah. Did you and Merrill crossed over, right? Merrill Hodge.
Oh yeah. No.
What was he like as a teammate?
Oh, great guy.
Yeah.
Always a hard worker, and it showed all through his career.
Yeah.
All the things that he accomplished out there, and he used to push me in practice, and it was kind of odd that I got traded to exile to Minnesota from Pittsburgh, and we happened to play the Steelers, and happened to guard Burrow, and me, longer tooth, trying to guard this young bull.
How'd you do on him?
Oh no, he won that one.
Yeah.
He won that one for sure.
Hey, listen, thank you so much for coming back another year. You're a big part of this tournament. We love having you here. You are so good and interactive with all the fans and the sponsors, and you have an open invite. I hope you come back again next year.
Oh, definitely. I wouldn't miss this for nothing in the world. Thank
you,
man.
Sir. Go get him, man. I promise you'll be short. That was short. All right, here we are with D'Angelo Hall, and we're talking about the hats.
Yes.
So, these are G4 hats.
No doubt.
It's that's kind of like the top of the line for some golf apparel, right?
And I tell people all the time, it was funny. I was talking to Nick Scott, who's with Penn State.
Oh, yeah, we had him here a few years ago. Yeah.
And I was telling him how awesome this tournament is. And he was like, well, I was connected with Trace and a couple other guys and Saquon. And I was like, bro, you got to come. And me and him just started talking about just how amazing this event is. And just everything that it involves and benefits. I got camp starting on Monday, but it was no way that I wasn't going to be able to pop in and just
look,
show
I
my support.
I appreciate that so much, man. When you're coaching, we just have Paulie Gunther on, and that's a 340 some day a year job, and you don't get a lot of time off, and that you came up here, this week, camp starts next week. It means a lot to me.
Oh, I mean, it's a family.
Yeah,
literally, Mid-Penn Bank is a family, and like I said, anything that's going on is funny. We were sharing a personal story about, me being uncle to some of your daughters and just scaring some boyfriends, and I mean, it's really that type of vibe.
Yeah.
Anytime I come in here, all the other Hall of Famers that I get an opportunity to just spend some time with, they dropping gems and knowledge that I'm just soaking all up. It just feels like being back in the locker room all over again to a lot of these. Hall of Famers that you grew up watching. So I just love it. Any chance I get the opportunity to be out here.
Juliana and Olivia were actually here today. I think they're over there, and they came over and we sat down. And I said, "Look, I'm not going to interview you. Allie's going to interview you." And I had told Allie about you and a couple years ago when they brought male friends to the to the pairings party.
No doubt.
And I'm sitting over there and I'm like, there's D'Angelo and Andre, and you guys were
we bowled up
hovering up over these guys, and And I walked over to you afterwards. I said, what was that all about? And you said, hey, man, I was telling those dudes, you're my brother, and they're my nieces, and they better take care of them.
Absolutely.
Give you some problems.
I do the same to my daughters when they bring boys over. It's like, I just want y'all to understand, treat them great. If you don't, you got to deal with us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just that expectation of knowing, like, you ain't just dating her. You dating all us too. You dating the family as well.
And the Retrieve family comes with some scary people
properly.
now.
No
Yeah.
doubt. No
So,
doubt
as a 60-year-old guy, I can't scare people like that anymore.
Rory, you just make everyone your friend. That's the problem, you know?
That was my whole intention with this, Allie.
In shape 60-year-old guy I've met, 40, and I'm over here hugging him, and I'm like, I got to get in the gym. Like,
I'm telling you.
I got to keep up.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
So, what's this season looking like? How are you feeling about the team?
I mean, I'm always optimistic every time I go into a season. You know, it's tough when you only win 2 games because, you know, realistically, how much better can you be?
Right.
But I think we got a good group of guys. We were obviously a young football team. Had a lot of turnaround. You know, when you talk about bringing in Frank Wright, who, you know, a lot of people in this Pennsylvania area know.
Oh yeah.
From his Philly days. So we, you know, I didn't feel like we gave Frank, you know, enough time, being that he had a rookie quarterback. But to fire him during the season, which, like I said, I got nothing but the utmost respect for Frank. He gave me an opportunity to get into this profession. But now we got Dave Canales, who's Tampa Bay's offensive coordinator. And, I mean, just a ball of energy, man. Ball of energy. You can see why he's been successful in this league. So hopefully we can get Bryce rolling a little bit, get him some protection, run the football a little bit. We went in, took Deontay Johnson from the Steelers. Yep. We traded a guy to get another receiver, some more targets. Drafted a receiver in the first round, Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. So, you know, we feel like we'll be a much better offense. And you know, we had the number 4 defense, but in this league, if you can't score points, it's going to be a long day, long season. So, you know, we're looking like that division's kind of wide open. You know, when you think about the Falcons and Tampa Bay and New Orleans, you know, we feel like we got a chance in that division to make some noise if our guys come out and play the right way.
Who's the D Hall of the team?
Probably Derek Brown.
Yeah.
Now, Derek Brown's 6'5", 330, so he obviously
just like
comes
you.
with a little more force.
Just like you.
5'9", 190, but just attitude, just mindset, just the kind of leader you want.
Yeah.
You know, the guy goes 100 miles an hour, and so we just tell our guys, like, if you follow Derek Brown, if you follow Big DB, which we just paid him $100 million at D tackle, so that goes to show you the dude is he's a player, made his first Pro Bowl last year, and I'm looking forward to watching that dude be all pro.
Right. Well, you know, I don't know the exact saying about the size of the dog or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like that was your thing, right?
No doubt.
Like you weren't the biggest guy on the field, but you had more. You got more heart, man.
I tell people, like, when people meet me and they're like so blown away that I'm like this personable, nice guy, and because they see the crazy guy, and I'm like, bro, I'm 5'10", 190 pounds, going up against T.O., bricked up, got muscles on muscles and abs, and 6'2", 230, and Randy, and all these freak of nature athletes. And so if I don't think I'm gonna go out here and whip this dude, he don't think I'm gonna whip him.
You gotta
supreme confidence. You gotta have it, especially, you know, being a DB. You gotta have a short memory, supreme confidence. But, you know, I don't know if it's just growing up in the 7'5", taking my little lumps and bruises along the way, but you always feel like what don't kill you make you stronger.
Right.
So, like, every loss, I've kind of tried to learn something from it, and that's what I try to, you know, instill in our young players.
Right.
Just like learn from these losses and don't repeat the same mistake. And if we can do those things, you know, we'll continue to get 1% better every day. And, you know, that's all we want to do is help these dudes be better pros, better men, better husbands, you know, just better people, because the football is the football.
That's right.
That's so the easy part. It's the other stuff that kind of, you know, that messes guys up. So just trying to keep them focused.
Allie, you sit around and you talk. We did this a few years ago. We were sitting around at night, you know, just chilling, and I said, man, who did you cover? Like, who's the best receiver you covered? And he starts talking about.
It's a ton.
He said, well, you know, I covered the greatest.
Spit him out.
Jerry Rice. He said, I'm going, wait, you covered Jerry Rice? He said, yeah.
He's in Seattle, though. And so I tell people, like, I kind of saw
Rice.
old Jerry on one leg, and I was just like, that's probably why I say Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Because if I put on Jerry in the late 80s, early 90s, then it's Jerry all day. But
what?
When I saw Jerry, it was...
so he said Jerry Rice, and I'm like, oh, my God, you covered Jerry Rice. Then I said, well, who else? He said, Randy Moss. I'm like, you covered Randy Moss.
T.O., Marvin Harrison.
And so I kept getting surprised. And he said, Right, I was the number one. I was the number one cornerback.
Got to go follow everybody.
You got to cover the number one
I was
receiver.
one of them dudes, like, I wanted all the smoke.
Yeah.
Because I felt like, Coach, if it's me covering him versus that guy covering him, we got a better chance to win if I'm covering him. I want him.
Right.
You know, and that was kind of always my mindset.
We just talked to AV about that. Obviously basketball, but he said he was like, I want to be best on best.
Yeah.
You know, not shying away from that. He
No
was talking
doubt.
about, I believe the mic you were talking about was that Michael Jordan?
I was
Yeah.
talking about Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I've heard of him. But same kind of thing, right? It's like
No
if you
doubt.
think you're the best, you got to go against him.
Oh, no doubt about it. Like, I want to give my team the best opportunity to win, and I've always felt like, even now, like, I can go down in history. I am, by no means do I think I'm the best corner to ever play, but I will take myself in my prime, locking up another number one receiver over anybody. Champ, Charles Woodson, Prime, Darryl Green. It ain't got nothing to do with them. I love them guys and got nothing but respect for them. But
Mm-hmm.
I just know me.
Right.
And I love that competition.
Right.
And like I said, you ain't gonna win them all.
Right.
And my coaches told me one of his favorite lines was "Gunfighters get shot,"
Mm-hmm.
and I live by that. I still say it to guys in my room, like, bro, if you're a gunfighter, you're gonna get shot. Meaning you're gonna get beat when you're out here on this autobahn. And so it's how do you mentally handle it? Can you rebound? Are you soaking, or are you like, all right, bro, let's go, let's go at it again? And that's the kind of guys you want. And it works in life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's such a comparison in life and business. Like, you're gonna get knocked down. You're gonna get hit with some challenges every now and then. And how do you respond?
Right.
You know? So,
Well, I'll never forget the first time you came to the Scott tournament, which I think was 2019. It was either 2018 or 2019, and we had a little dinner over at the fish restaurant over here in Hershey with Devin. Devin. And we were in a little private room, and he got there a little bit later than when it started because he was coming from far away. And he walked into the room. First, you had that beard.
yeah,
You had a big beard. And he walked into the room, and he went up to each and every person and shook their hand, said hello, introduced himself. Like, you really didn't need to introduce yourself because everyone knew who you were, but he introduced himself. And I went up to him afterwards, and I was like, this was the first time we met. Like, I didn't know him. And I said, why'd you do that, man? And he said, because that's the way I was brought up. And yeah, I think you said your dad was a military guy.
Yeah.
And he said if
I
if I wouldn't have done that, and my dad would have saw that, it would have been heck to pay. Yeah. So you have been a huge part of this. You were when you came in, the tournament was only a few years old, and we've gotten to this part in large part because of you and guys like you, and you are my brother. You know that. I
appreciate that.
And I couldn't ever repay you for what you've done for this. So
I appreciate that. Anytime.
Yeah, all right. Go out there and have some fun.
Absolutely.
Today, man. Love you,
I appreciate y'all.
All right.
Love you too, brother.
Okay, we're back. This is amazing. Kellen Winslow, in my opinion, got to be top 1, 2 tight ends in NFL history. I mean, I was a big football fan back in the day, and I loved watching you play, man. I mean,
thank you.
You and Fouts, and man, you guys had some great teams, and you guys did some wonderful things.
Thank you. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
we had a lot of fun.
So did Fouts get into is he in the Hall?
Yep, Dan's in the Hall of Fame. Charlie Joyner's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So
Joe Gibbs is in the Hall of Fame. He's our offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And just last year, our head coach, Don Correll, into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Nice. So you had 5 guys from that team?
Yeah, well, 6 if you count Fred Dean.
Yeah, that's awesome.
On the defense side of the ball. And there's probably 3 more guys who should have been given more consideration than they have.
Yeah. So Coryell, what was it like playing for a guy like that?
Oh, I loved it. He loved advancing the football down the field by throwing the football.
Mm-hmm.
And in our offense, it really started with getting the ball to the tight end.
Right.
That opened up the lanes. It opened up the running game for us. The linebackers and safeties are cheating up. So he just loved getting the ball to the middle of the field and get things started.
He was a disciple of whom? So he was at St. Louis. He had Jim Hart.
Sid
right?
Gilman.
Sid Gilman.
Yeah, Sid Gilman. In that relationship, him and Bill Walsh spent a significant amount of time together when Bill was an assistant coach in San Diego. That was before I got to the Chargers. And just the influences, he was willing to listen, and being Coach Coryell was willing to listen, I should say, and to learn and to be innovative and to, find some talent that he could use for that offense. And when I came into the picture, he got very creative.
So did you ever think about coaching?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Not really.
Is it almost impossible for a player of your nature, Hall of Famer? Do they ever end up coaching?
Well, some do.
Yeah.
Some do. One reason that a lot of guys have gone into coaching who were my age or just a little bit younger, but older, was the fact that it was a good job.
Right.
And for a while there, you had assistant coaches making more than the players were making.
Right.
And that was a reason for that. So it was a good career that you could stay in the game with coaching. Now, you're going to see fewer and fewer players going into coaching or wanting to go into coaching if they've gotten to that level, because the money that they're making is so good.
Right.
It's so good.
How do you stay close to the game?
I really don't.
You don't?
I really don't. I just try to go about my life and live my life and enjoy the benefits of the rewards that I've earned before, and I'm thankful for those things. And I'll watch a game every now and then. I'm not as analytical as I once was about the game, but mostly I'll go to the score, the box score, and because I want to see the stats, and you can pretty much follow the game by, following those key stats.
Who do you think is the best tight end today?
No, there is no such thing. There really isn't, and there wasn't in my day.
Right.
I happened to play for the San Diego Chargers, whose head coach was Don Coryell, whose offensive coordinator was Joe Gibbs, who our receivers coach was Ernie Zampese, a name that's well known as in the assistant coaches, and especially the offensive-minded assistant coaches throughout the league. God rest his soul. And I was the beneficiary of what they were doing. There have been guys before me and guys after me who can do the things that I did, but they didn't play for Joe Gibbs and Don Coryell during that time. They didn't. And some of them are very good athletes or great athletes, but just in the wrong system.
Right.
Then you got a guy like Gronk or Kelsey or the young man in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have your senior moment also. My apologies. I see his face. And they come along and they're in a system that realizes that there's a big advantage to throwing the ball over the middle of the field.
Right.
And the closest guy, the biggest guy, probably the best looking guy, probably the guy with the best hands is that big old tight end standing 7 yards from you.
Right. Well, I think that over the last 20, 30 years, the tight end position has really evolved a lot. And it's such a huge part of the offense right now. And
it's got to be.
But, you were like that, back in the 70s and 80s. And, that I think you kind of revolutionized that position.
Well, again, I was the beneficiary of Don Coryell.
Right.
And that was one of the frustrating things why it took so long to get him into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. When we were advocating for Coach years ago, I would tell the voters that I can put a dollar figure on Don Coryell's contribution to the game. And they would say, well, what would that be? I said, it's called the television contract. This game is exciting because of things that Don Coryell has brought to this game. Look at that figure. That's his contribution to the game, and that's why he should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It just took them a little longer to get it done, but thanks to Dan Fouts and other people in the media and those in the hall, we finally got him in.
Yeah. Listen, Kellen, thank you so much for coming back in this year. I know it's, a significant chunk of your time and, long travel. This has been great having you here.
Thank you.
All the sponsors and all the people that come to this tournament, they speak extremely highly of you. You're so generous.
I've paid each one of them.
Yeah.
I bought all my comments.
You are a Hall of Famer in this tournament too, man.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, and please come back next year. All right.
You bet.
All right. Thanks, Kellen. All right, we're back. We're with Joe DeCamera, WIP, 6 to 10 in the morning. One of the best radio shows around.
Thank you.
So everything sports Philadelphia, right?
I love it, Roy. Yeah. So congrats on a great event here today.
Oh, thank you.
And I love what I do. WIP, we have a lot of fun in Philly, and it's been a robust sports scene lately. So there's been a lot to talk about.
You got John Ritchie with you.
Yep,
right?
Richie's my co-host.
And he was your guy in your show before this.
Midday.
So you took over for Cataldi, right?
That's right.
he retired, and,
He did.
and you were the pick. And I know that was a coveted job, so you did a really good job in the
Thank
interview
you.
process and
Thank
all
you.
the things you did before that.
Thanks,
but
man.
so, what's your out of all the sports that you cover?
Yep.
What's the thing that really drives you? I feel like it's the Phillies.
No, I would say the thing that's the hottest is football season when it happens.
Really?
You know, I mean, listen, Phillies October, I guess there's nothing quite. The thing about a Phillies Red October that's unique, and the Sixers and Flyers could almost emulate this if they ever had deep playoff runs, which they haven't in a long time.
Right.
But the Phillies is the daily October playoff push,
Right.
which was the last 2 years really fascinating. Now, the Eagles, I'd say from a regular season standpoint, the intensity of those 4.5 months is, from a regular season standpoint, unparalleled. I mean, obviously, there's was 16, now 17 games.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very intense. Obviously, we're gearing up for that now. We're
Right.
looking forward to training camp and that coming season. But the thing about Red October that was fun and will always be fun, and they should make the playoffs, 6-7 years in a row because they're stacked and they're good ages, is it's every night. I just remember how tired the town was after, every day. I mean, it's because you get these games that go to like 11, 11:30. Everyone wakes up, rinse and repeat, and they just kept winning and winning and winning and winning until they didn't.
Right.
So,
And I think I may have jinxed them a little bit because on my podcast last year, I had just been to, one of the Braves game.
I ran into you down there.
And I said, man, I think Citizens Bank Park in October with this team is becoming a nightmare for, for visiting teams. And then they lost the next two games.
So they until those two games, they had the best record
they
ever
were like
for a team in a ballpark.
Or 26
Correct.
and 11
Something
or
crazy.
something like that, yeah.
And then they lost 2 in a row. They've actually lost 2 in a row in Citizens Bank Park the last 2 years.
Yeah.
To basically end it. Because
right.
2 years ago it was games 4 and 5 and then game 6 in
I was
Houston.
both of those.
Yeah.
I wasn't at the 7 and 8 or 6 and 7 last year, but I was at those 3, 4 and 5. And they were rough games, but that park is just it's spectacular, and the fans, they really get into it, and you're there wearing your Phillies.
Well, I love it. So wearing the Phillies uniform, it's the whole thing. I think the 11-year hiatus between playoff runs was a big part of that.
And totally different teams, obviously, not one player in common or any coach.
Or even the owner, because David Montgomery had been the principal owner, and he passed away, and John Middleton. That
last run, 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think 11 was their last good year. That was a good run.
Incredible.
And you're right. So out of those two teams, then and now, who's your favorite player?
Well, it's funny. From the old team, my favorite player was Shane Victorino. Yeah. Even though he was probably the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th best player on the team. Yeah. He just resonated with me. His intensity, his hustle. He could be a little scatterbrained, so he wasn't perfect, which I'm certainly not perfect. None of us are perfect. So I thought there was a human element to Victorino, his rise from kind of nothing. Right. He was a minor leaguer that wasn't really supposed to be that great. It resonated with me. I like the way, after he had replaced Bobby Abreu, and Abreu was more talented, but a little bit more laissez-faire. I just like what Victorino brought to the table. So I'd say back then, Victorino. I'd say this group, probably Ranger Suarez. Really? Yeah.
Wow.
He's cool. He gets the job done, and he's cool.
I would have said back then Chooch.
Yep.
Because I played the position, and I just really identified with him, and I just love that guy. He was tough
awesome.
as nails.
He was awesome.
And now I kind of want to say JT.
Yep.
But it's got to be Bryce Harper.
Well, Bryce is the best player.
Bryce is
of the two groups. Bryce is the best player of those two groups. I mean,
but it's not just the fact that he's one of the elites, right?
He's
a five-tool player. He's got he can do everything.
Totally.
But man, it's just the way that he embraced that city, and embraced that team, and said he wants to be here for the rest of his career. Yeah. He's a guy that can go make a lot of money anywhere.
That's right.
But he wants to be here the rest of his career, and I don't know. There's just something about that guy.
Well, first off, he also turned the whole franchise around.
Absolutely.
I mean, his decision. Look, now it helps. You get $330 million. I mean, he's not.
He's not doing it for free.
He's not Mother Teresa, okay? But I mean, he joined a team that had generally lost,
right?
And not only brought his own talents, but brought his recruiting skills,
right?
Because I do think he played a part in not only elevating the squad to make it appealing, but he's got friends in baseball,
right?
And I think it's pretty clear some people have chosen here in part because of his
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
So, and they're going to be good for a while, Rory.
Yeah,
like, you look at the ages
yeah.
and the contract status, like they're going to be good for, and especially with 3 wild card now.
Yeah.
Like, they should be in the playoffs for a good stretch up ahead.
For some time. And as long as they keep beating the Braves in the playoffs, I'll be
That's
happy.
right. Well, what's going to be interesting this year is obviously tables are going to be flipped.
Tables turn.
Phil's going to have the 1 seed, 1 or 2, but probably the 1, and certainly win the division. But I would definitely encourage everyone, just don't act like just because the Phils finish in front of the Braves aren't still a threat in October.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
They're still the same team.
Correct.
Right? I think
they
they've had
lost
a couple
their
injury
two
problems.
best players. Yeah. But I mean, if anything, the last 2 years shows is
it doesn't matter where you
it really doesn't
start the postseason.
It's just how you play for those couple
where
weeks.
you end the
Yeah,
postseason,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So listen,
Yeah.
thank you again
My
for
pleasure.
coming back. I love having
Thanks,
you here,
Roy.
man. You're everyone I talk to enjoys interacting with you. That's a big part of this tournament. We've talked about it all week.
Yeah.
This thing gets down to we want to raise a significant amount of money to contribute to 2 great breast cancer charities.
Yep.
And the only way we can do that is by having guys like you
Thanks.
that interact with the sponsors, that pay the money that allow us to do that. So I really, really, really appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure. Amy, obviously being here every year, she loves it. We love it.
She's great too.
We love the cause. Got a lot of love for so many people here. So just hats off to you and your whole group, because I know it's a big group that puts it together, and I got a lot of admiration for what you do.
Is Amy with Jody today? Or are they?
She actually left early. She had to close in residential real estate back in Philly, so she had to,
got to critter.
she had to go close the deal.
Yeah, it's too bad because the women love her. And she's
you.
a big part of this. And,
I appreciate it.
As
Thank
you are,
Thanks,
on this side, she is on that side,
Thanks,
and so please tell her I said thank you for coming
Thanks,
up.
Ray.
And love you, brother.
All right, thanks, pal. Love you too. See you, bud.
Mike Motti, welcome back to the Mid-Penn Bank Celebrity Golf Classic. Your second year here. Why is this an easy yes for you to come out here, help raise awareness for breast cancer?
It's such an easy yes. Last year I got the chance to play with you as a guest, as a fill-in, and just had to experience the tournament, the people. That's really what makes it such a special event, because they care about the community and their mission and making an impact. And I said, we ran into Rory, I think, on the 7th hole when Jesse was freestyling, and I said, look, count me in every year, because you guys are making an impact and doing it the right way. So happy to be part of it.
To see kind of the who's who of athletes, coaches in sports right now, about 40 of them here, all for the same mission. What does that say about the way that this tournament is run and the fact that guys want to give up a couple days to be here to be a part of this?
I think you got to credit Rory for creating an environment of guys. Like, guys wouldn't come back if they didn't feel like it was something they wanted to do, and because they get something out of it. It really has like a locker room feel, being around guys like Kirk Coleman and Robert Royal. I look forward to it. Have been looking forward to it. So you want to create that kind of culture, and culture is everything in this kind of environment when you're running events and doing some things in the community. So I'm trying to balance the power with a lot of these Pitt guys in Rory's office. So we got a couple of Penn State guys now, and Jordan Hill and myself. So I like to give them hell about that.
There's been a lot of talk about the rivalry so far. Some of the older guys talking about how they split. Hugh Green said he won 2, lost 2, kind of a thing. Is there a little bit of trash talking out here with some of these guys?
48-14.
Leave it to you. Leave it to you. Only once, right?
Only once?
You only played him once?
Oh, so Pitt I never had any experience with. I was from 08 to 12, and I think they had maybe a 2 or 4 year stretch, maybe in like the 14, 15-ish era. But nope, never had any Pitt experience.
Well, you played in a lot of big games. When you get a chance to be back here kind of chatting with some of the sponsors of the tournament, are they asking you about your Penn State time, the things that you guys were able to do there? What are you sharing?
Yeah, it's special. Like being back at Penn State and being back at State College, at Penn State working athletics. Like you're still gaining perspective on what we did back in 2012 and how we kept things together, and that it translates, and it's all about relationships and helping people move forward. And we got a big project going on up in Happy Valley with the stadium renovation. So it's great to be just bringing back people that really care about the university, and I'm one of them. So it's exciting. It's all about good people.
You've always lended your platform to different causes over the years. It's always been about team first and things like that. This one, breast cancer research in the fight against supporting women who are in their battle. Your family also has a cancer foundation. Why is this something that you've all kind of rallied around, resonated with?
It touches close to home for me. My dad started the Motti Cancer Foundation in 1979. Both his parents died of lung cancer. So it's something I care about deeply. Our family's been doing events down in Louisiana for 40 years, so we're really involved down there in the cancer community. But so that when I saw what Rory was doing up here, I'm like, man, how can I help? How can we just make this a success and keep making an impact?
Not a bad week on a golf course as well. How you doing today?
It took me about 7 or 8 holes, but I found my drive, found my long ball.
They need it.
Well, I need it. That's what keep me coming back.
Good to see you here.
Good to see you, Allie. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Mid-Penn Bank podcast. If you like what you've heard, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. The podcast can be found at Apple, Spotify, Google, and wherever you find great podcasts. If you have any feedback or questions, email us at podcast@midpennbank.com. References in this podcast to Mid-Penn are to Mid-Penn Bancorp, Inc. and its subsidiaries and affiliates. This podcast expresses the views of its participants and may not represent the views of Mid-Penn or its officers and employees. In addition, these views are subject to change without notice, and Mid-Penn has no duty or obligation to update the information contained in this podcast. This podcast is being made available for informational purposes only and should not be used for any other purposes. You are encouraged to consult with competent legal, tax, accounting, or investment professionals before engaging in any financial transaction. Mid-Penn does not make any warranties as to the accuracy or completeness of the information in this podcast, does not endorse any third-party companies, products, or services, and assumes no liability for your use of this information. Forward-looking statements should not be considered guarantees or predictions of future events. This podcast is the sole property of Mid-Penn and may not be copied, reproduced, republished, or posted in whole or in part in any form without prior written consent of Mid-Penn.